There's a report. Bill Belichick's getting a second interview with the Atlanta Falcons, the team they had the massive comeback against, 28-3 in the Super Bowl. Bill Belichick, it's not set in stone, but it's looking more and more like a possibility that Bill is going to be down there going to a team that we talked about this in the past, guys. Falcons offense is talented. They got some guys. Now, granted, they weren't used properly. Drake London, Kyle Pitts. I know, Zach, how you feel about Bijan Robinson not getting used.
Yeah,
and I know that stings, especially if you used a fantasy pick on him. But how are you feeling?
Number seven overall, I used on him. I had so much hope. I saw him in college. It's a Swiss Army knife, and then they just didn't use him. I just hope in that situation of Bill Belichick, if he does get that, accept that job, I hope he is more willing to use the weapons or get an offensive mind that is willing to use the weapons in front of them.
I would agree with that. And it seems like in a division in the NFC South, and we've talked about it in the past, Kevin, it's a pretty wide open division. I love what Baker's doing this year. It's been awesome. And there are so many ways you could talk about with Baker and resiliency. You don't have to love him, but the guy was left to dry. He went to Carolina. He was a practice squad defensive lineman for a couple snaps here and there in practice.
He just like me for real. High school. Me in high school, Baker at the NFL. Just
look at you. Look at you.
The point being, though, Kevin, NFC South's pretty wide open, and if you're going to a team that has a lot of young stars now, they do have a quarterback situation. It's a very appealing place to go, especially for Bill looking to kind of hopefully, get back that traction of getting to the postseason and hopefully making some noise.
Yeah, and we heard the reports that maybe he wanted to go to a team that was young and had the pieces but were underachieving, and I think the Falcons fit that bill pretty well with Bijan and Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Now, you're right. The quarterback situation is one where we know he does not want to go through another year of a Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi and all that quarterback situation. He's not going to have it. So if he goes there, I would bet money that probably a quarterback's going to follow. Is that a draft pick? Is that Justin Fields? I know that rumor's been there before. But you're right. The South is wide open at this point. In Tampa, again, Baker's been awesome. And he's kind of turned his image around a little bit. In fact, a lot. Like, he's turned his image around. But they have a Mike Evans situation. What's that going to look like next year? The Saints are going to be in a cap situation for what seems like the 80th year in a row at this point. And with Carolina, we all know how much of a disaster that is right now. So it feels like Atlanta's poised. If you're talking about teams to take a leap and you bring Bill Belichick in there, you get an all-time coach working with young pieces. You get the right quarterback, and they have defensive talent. They brought in Jesse Bates, and they have A.J. Terrell in that corner room. And I think that it has the potential that Falcons, if you're talking about, again, a team that can make the biggest leap in 2024, you get Belichick, you get a quarterback in there, I think you could put them in that conversation.
Well, and here we have a thought here about Bill Belichick, Russell Wilson. I don't know if that's a match made in heaven. Who exactly knows? But, guys, fair to say, Falcons go out and get a quarterback. Bill Belichick's in place. I would be comfortable saying that they could be a favorite or are the favorites to win the NFC South next year, Rock.
Yeah, if they land Bill and, decent quarterback, I'm sure he's having conversations in that second interview with, like, how can we make this team even better going forward? And that all starts at the quarterback position. But you're likely not going to get one of the greatest all-time or future GOATs in Tom Brady when Bill Belichick was working with him. It's not going to be a situation like that. You're likely either going to have to develop someone like you did with Brady throughout his career and hope that he turns into one of the great, even if he's not even close to that, the guy who they do bring in, someone they draft, you hope they're good enough to get the Falcons to the playoffs and compete. Because I don't want to face a Bill Belichick-led team with young talent in the postseason ever, because we've seen what teams he's coached have been capable of in postseason play. It's just like a nightmare for other teams. You hated to play the Patriots. So if that's the case, if they can get a solid quarterback, or if they can get a veteran in there that can work well with Bill and turn the Falcons around, because this year was a disaster they shouldn't have been as bad as they were. So going forward, that's the big thing for me, is getting someone at the quarterback position, pairing him with Belichick. And then I think the Falcons could be not necessarily a scary team this year, but look in the future, like 3 years down the line, depending on how long he coaches and stays there and develops. And you're looking at a really solid playoff team, I believe. the next couple of years.
Could he go after a veteran like Kirk Cousins?
Good. He could.
I the more I think about Bill Belichick going to a team like this, I just don't see him wanting to develop again. I think he's at the age where he is like, I have 2-3 years left. I want to just go try to win a Super Bowl. And I don't know if the guy isn't there that he wants to draft, if the guy isn't in-house, I could see him going for a veteran that he thinks, okay, we have the weapons on offense. We can make stuff happen if we get it to Bijan, to Drake London, to Kyle Pitts. We just need a guy like a Kirk Cousins who can sit back and just manage the game and get them the ball, kind of like he's doing in Minnesota. Defense started to play better, and like that's really where, especially with Bill Belichick being a defensive mind, I could see that being a really good fit.
Do you know where I think, I say I see him in Pittsburgh, but I think Kyler would be kind of electric there.
That'd be
I think it would be. Some people are Kyler haters, I get it, but I feel like that's a guy who could maybe go, if Arizona wants to lean into a full rebuild, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I think Kyler with Bijan and all those guys.
For it. I'm all for
it.
Get JJ. See if we
from
can.
Ravens social media would be just out of control if Kyler went to the Steelers.
Here's what I'll say to this.
Oh yeah.
Here's what I'll say. With Belichick going to the NFC South, it makes total sense. He's not going to have a whole lot of competition because the whole division sucks. And I would make arguments. I mean, we keep talking about the offense and where the quarterback is. The defense, I know that they started to make strides towards the end of the season, but they still were a bottom half defense. And we know that Bill Belichick is the defensive mind there. I don't know how much he's going to do on offense. Maybe he'll get a really good coordinator. I think he needs one in order to be successful down in Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, if they have a Russell Wilson or a Kirk Cousins, a veteran quarterback that's proven to go down there and do work, I think they'll do well. But really, the struggle is going to be on the defensive side of the ball if they plan on going deep into the playoffs at all. But given that the NFC South is just absolutely abysmal, I mean, it would make sense for Bill Belichick to do that after being in the NFC East, or sorry, the AFC East, that was just a trash division, except for the Patriots for 20 years.
Yeah, I will say the narrative that Bill Belichick's going to have to kind of dust off is developing offensive players, because you just had Mac Jones and you had the whole debacle of having Matt Patricia, then you had Bill O'Brien, and the carousel that was going on in New England. So I think, to your guys' point, I don't think they're a veteran seems likely. I wouldn't be surprised, but it seems like for Bill, what's his bread and butter? They're going to be more sound fundamentally, defensively. That's what New England seems to do. But I'm with you guys. There has to be someone that has to be evolved with whatever they want to do with those playmakers on offense, because they're young. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, they're talented, and there's so many great things to like. I think that they'll fix it on defense. But obviously, if the Falcons had better quarterback play, they'd be the team that would have won the NFC South this year, not the Buccaneers. But
Josh McDaniel, come on down,
No.
baby. Come on down.
That's a great way to get out of this conversation.